Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's 10-minute topic. Today, we're talking about consistency. It's one of the most important traits needed to be a successful athlete, and a trait that your athlete can have some control over. It separates the very best from the rest. Athletes who have it are sought after and typically successful. Those who don't are always looking for a way to find a way to get it. Think Steph Curry, Carly Lloyd, Messi, Clayton Kershaw, Federer, Tom Brady, or even that kid on your child's team who day in, day out is able to consistently work at a high level. And you don't need to have superstar skills to be consistent. It's about being consistent with your effort. And so today we are talking with Brian Alexander. Brian, thank you so much for joining us. Brian is a mental skills coach who works with many clients, but among them is USA's Olympic water polo teams and their entire Olympic development program. So, okay, let's set our timer. Hold on here. Thank you, Brian, for being here. Here we go, 10 minutes.
Okay.
Starting the clock. And so, Brian, you just wrote an article that I read and is the impetus for this interview about how emotional control is the key component that affects consistency. So what is emotional control?
Yeah, thanks, Asia. So emotional control is really managing emotions. I think something that we try and do, or some coaches might even say, is try not to show emotion. And that's kind of impossible as people, as humans, right? To show emotion or to experience emotion is human. So I think the key is that we become aware of what we're experiencing and then develop the tools that are necessary in order to manage them so that we have all of the emotional responses to what happens during a game or an event or practice or whatever that we can lean on to then direct our effort in the right direction.
Okay, terrific. So let's see, one of the things you talked about in your article was control. So you said what you can control and expect the expected. So what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so a lot of that has to do with preparation. And with younger athletes, it's a little bit more challenging because the emotional control center in the brain still is developing, as well as the part of our brain that we actually make executive decisions with, which is the prefrontal cortex. But we can start to develop a foundation of understanding what are the elements in my sport that are controllable and what are the elements in my sport that are uncontrollable, where if I put energy and effort into those things, it's really not going to help me achieve the results that I ultimately want. Or it's not going to help me have very much fun, which is usually what younger athletes really want. And then as you get older and as you get more, then you start to learn how to become aware of what you're really experiencing. And then you can meet much more in tune with where you're directing your effort.
And so for that, in lieu of actually speaking with someone like yourself who helps, is there a way you suggest to do that? Is it like writing a list, or how would someone put that into practical application?
Well, so I can give you an example. So I played with the US Water Polo team, actually. So now working with them is full circle for me. But when I played with them before the 2009 World Championships, we actually created a uncontrollables list before we traveled to Rome, Italy. And on that list were so many things, including referees, buses being delayed, flights delayed, all kinds of stuff. And it ended up actually working in our favor because there was one thing that happened the night before our first game against the home country, Italy, that would have totally derailed us if we gave too much energy and effort into it. But because we were prepared for it, we knew, okay, this happened. Let's shift our attention to what's most important now and just put that on the periphery and give our absolute 100% effort towards the things we can control, which are usually things like how we prepare, the attitude we bring to the competition, how much effort we give, and then during the game, present moment focus.
Okay, awesome. Moving on. Maybe someday you'll tell us what that thing was. It distracted everyone. All right, number 3, develop your emotional release and reset strategy. What does that mean?
Yeah, so So what we're really doing is mental training. And one of the keys with the mental side of performance is it doesn't just happen. It needs to be an intentional process. So if you develop a release routine, that's really what that is. You develop a sequence of actionable things that you can do, starting usually with the breath, because the breath is this most powerful mental skill we have that we're doing all day to survive, but never, rarely actually intentionally using to perform. So if we actually take a breath, take a moment to control our nervous system, like that's this fight or flight response, that's the first step. Then we can actually think through and plant the seed. Give yourself a mantra or a positive affirmation that's here and now, like, I got it, let's go. And then if you really need it, if you're so caught up into the results of the last play, you can't let it go, have a cue, like a kinesthetic cue where you clap your hands, or you take 3 hard strokes in swimming, or you take 3 hard strides on the field or on the court or whatever, right? Something that actually releases some kind of stress physically that allows you then to reset to this moment, to this play. And that's what I was talking about, present moment focus, because if you're caught up in mental time travel, meaning like you're stuck on the last play or you're thinking ahead to the next play, you're going to be really inefficient with this play because your resources are kind of scattered around.
Hang on one second. My laptop plug came undone and my charge is going down. Everybody, this is Brian Alexander. We're talking about consistency. If you have any questions, please write them in. Now would be a good time while I get my new charger. Hold on one second, Brian.
Okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
This is an emergency. Unreal. This is what happens when you're on live TV, right?
That's right. We just got to pivot. This is a really good learning opportunity, because a lot of times you can plan and prepare for everything during a game, and there's all these things that you just didn't know that you wouldn't know. And you have to adjust in that moment rather than getting caught up emotionally again on what happened, because at that point you can't control what happened. All you can do is respond in the right way.
Exactly. So I'm going to take.
What we're doing right here.
We're going to move right past that and go on to the last thing, which was measure your success and set goals based on your approval and not others.
Yeah. So this has a lot to do with not only setting those outcome goals, meaning I want to win, I want to be the best, I want to get the awards, all the accolades. Those are really important to start with. And you can even have these dreams or visions that are very long-term. But as you get closer, or as you're preparing for competition, it's important to narrow that down to what you want to improve, right? So we call these performance goals, meaning, okay, I'm at this level and I want to get to this level in a skill or an area, okay? I want to improve by this date this much. So you kind of use that SMART acronym where it's specific, measurable, adjustable, relevant, and then you add a time, a date, a due date, and then drill that down even further into how to do that. So that's the process. And you create all these specific process goals that have actual procedures behind them and objectives, and they direct your attention. So when you set that goal structure up, the real challenge then when you're getting ready for competition is to start with how you're going to compete rather than what you want to gain at the end of your competition. So that's where you flip it upside down over the outcome.
Okay, we actually have a few questions here. Let's put them up. From Melanie. She says, do you think the process is the same or different for male or female athletes or younger and preteen?
I think that the process is actually different for each individual. I wouldn't say there's a general. So I work with a lot of athletes in the younger age groups and teenage years, high school, college, even beyond. And I think it's hard to take a one-size-fits-all approach to mental training, to goal setting, to focus on the process. I think the process is unique for each individual in terms of their sport experience and how they've come to know themselves in their sport. So it's a really important step to allow them to actually develop their process based on what they know, and they can reflect on what's actually worked really well for them in the past, as well as where they want to stretch and where they want to grow and improve.
Okay, terrific. We have another one for you, Brian. It's from Rob, and he says, this is great. Anything specific to work on or watch for boys entering puberty? Anything? Also, any book, Twitter accounts, blog recommendations to read up more on this topic?
Yeah, thanks, Rob. I think that boys entering puberty, there's going to be different ages there. Generally, though, we kind of know it's somewhere in the 12, 14 age range. But one of the biggest pieces is really learning how to become more aware of how they're responding in key moments, because there's different developments of your brain, right? It starts with that reptilian brain where you're learning how to control that fight or flight response. You're learning how to regulate emotions and energy levels, as well as, emotional control, which is the next part, the limbic system area. And you're kind of becoming aware of how certain things impact you and different experiences in your sport and your life. So learning how to breathe, really. And then as that's going on at the same time, the frontal brain, which really is the prefrontal cortex, the part where we make executive decisions, we plan, we do all that stuff. That's really the last part that develops later on. They say somewhere between like 24, 26 years old, actually, is when it fully develops, the full brain, which is crazy. But I think starting with basics, becoming aware of, okay, how did you respond in that moment, right? What was most important? And that's actually something in the article, I use that acronym WIN, which is something that a lot of mental skills coaches use. It stands for what's important now. And it's a simple way to bring your attention back to the task at hand, to bring your attention back to the present moment so that you can focus on improvement and growth. And take those little steps that actually lead you eventually somewhere way down the line to the ultimate success that you want. So I would start at that age with just learning how to just slow yourself down mentally, learn how to just become aware, learn how to take time for breathing, especially in today's day and age with so many things coming at our teenagers, and the demands of school and organized sports, year-round sports, and so I would just start there and then build on that into some strategies like an emotional release strategy or a reset, and then continue to work on that process as well.
All right, we are out of time, but we did have a few people asking about more resources. I put up Brian's website, which is athletesmentalskillscoach.com, so you can get more there. Do you have anything else to recommend? And we can also put them up on the Facebook comment section as well.
Yeah, so Rob also asked about books and websites and resources. Obviously, your website is a great resource. There's a lot of good stuff on there. I think I've been hearing that a lot from parents and coaches for a book resource list, and I might post that. I have a blog on my website as well, so I might put out a blog post around some good resources that I've been seeing that really resonate well. So yeah, I'll send that out, and then yeah, there's a lot. I have a Twitter account too, and I try and repost a lot of stuff. So my Twitter is at BA_POS, stands for positive _mind. And yeah, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Brian. I hope everyone got a lot out of it. I know I did. I'll also put your blog post on this topic onto the comment section on Facebook, and hopefully we'll get you back again. Have a wonderful work trip to New Zealand and Australia with the US Olympic team at the end of this week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Asia.
Brian, bye-bye.
Bye.